friends, what's up? I swear YouTuber of the Year award for shits and giggles should go to me because every time I sit down, I do something wrong. I swear. I had my makeup done. It was done all cutesy and I was like, alright, when I'm finished the tutorial of like showing you guys how I'm gonna braid my hair, I'll do like a nice intro with my hair nicely braided and my makeup on. Obviously, that never goes as planned because as soon as I finished recording the video, I forgot that I needed to do the intro. So now the outro of this video is like super glam and has makeup on and everything, but the intro looks like this and I'm just so mad at myself. Welcome to the video. You guys have requested this so many times. Ever since I started posting vlogs again, a bunch of you guys have been asking me for a tutorial specifically on this braid right here. So I thought, why not just do an updated how to braid for beginners kind of video. So yeah, today's video is just going to be a super in-depth tutorial on how to learn to braid your hair, how to Dutch braid, how to French braid, the difference between them, how to part your hair like this, all that good stuff. If you guys want to know how to do this braid and learn how to braid, then keep on watching. And maybe next time I'll remember to do a proper intro. Oh well. Okay, so the first thing that you're gonna start off with, and what I want you guys to realize, is that braiding hair is not that hard at all. There's a technique to it, and once you know the technique, you can actually pretty much do any of the braids that you want to do. Start off with just like hair that is straight. You can also do this with curly hair, but I find that when you're like trying to learn, it's easiest with straight hair because your hair doesn't get as tangled. So I'm just gonna comb out my hair. If you absolutely do not know how to braid hair, this is what you're gonna do. Very simple. Grab literally just the side of your hair like this. So what I'm gonna first do is I'm actually gonna show you guys the technique. Now, Dutch braid and French braid are almost the same exact thing. It just depends on how you cross over your strands. So for example, a regular French braid, you take your 3 strands like this. When you're braiding, you take the piece and put it over the centerpiece, and then you take the piece in the back and put it over the centerpiece again, and then over, 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 over. That's what a French braid is. A Dutch braid is just the opposite. So you have your same 3 strands of hair, but instead of taking your pieces and putting it over the centerpiece, you're going under. So under, and now this becomes the centerpiece, and then you pull over this one here and you bring it under, 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 under. So that's literally the only difference. And now what you will find is a French braid, and I'll insert pictures here of the difference. A French braid, you'll see the braid will go more like inwards like this, whereas the Dutch braid, you will find that it kind of pops out of your head more. And I prefer, when I'm doing like pigtails or if I'm doing braids, I prefer a Dutch braid because I feel like it looks a lot nicer. The braid pops out of your head. Here's what you have to do. Start off with the Dutch braid. I will show you guys Dutch braid because I like how the Dutch braid looks better, but you once again can do French braid, and I would suggest for you guys to try both just because it's better if you know how to do both. As a beginner, grab your hair and just take a chunk of hair wherever. It doesn't matter. We're not trying to look cute right now. We're literally just learning the technique of the braid. Grab the piece of hair, separate it into 3. And then when you have your 3 pieces, now because I'm doing a Dutch braid, I'm gonna go under. You guys could go over as well. The first thing you're gonna do is take the piece closest to your face and put it under. And then you're gonna take the piece that's to the back and put it under the middle part as well. We're gonna do that one more time. So now take the piece that's closest to your face, put it under the middle part, and then the piece that's on the back, put it under. So now you have something that looks like this. Now what you're going to do is where like the Dutch and French braid comes together, and that's when you add pieces to your strands. Now that it's time to take this front piece and put it under the middle, what you're actually going to do is you can drop your front piece, grab some hair from the from your scalp and attach it to the piece that you're going to put under. Now that you have the piece, put the piece under the center, and you're going to do the same thing with the piece at the back. So at the back, as you can see here, I'm going to hold it with my hand and take my index finger and my thumb, and I'm going to grab a piece of hair. This is why I want you guys to have straight hair, so it's easier for you to grab the hair, and also it doesn't knot when it's in place. Then I'm going to take this piece and put it under the centerpiece. And now you're going to literally just keep doing this. So now we're adding another piece to the front section, putting it under the middle, and then taking a piece in the back, attaching it, and then putting that one in the center. Once again, grab a piece in the front, put it under the centerpiece, and then grab a piece with the back strand, put it under the centerpiece. And now you don't have to be cute with this because you're literally learning the technique. And I want you guys to keep practicing this until you get a hang of adding the pieces to your hair. That is the most important part, and that's where people mess up the most, is because when it comes to putting pieces into the hair, people get confused and it gets very messy. Keep doing it straight on just like this over and over until you get the hang of it. If you were to do a regular French braid, because that was a Dutch braid, all you have to do is grab your hair once again, put it into 3 pieces. You're gonna take the first strand closest to your hair, put it over the centerpiece, take the back strand, put it over the centerpiece, take the front strand again, put it over the middle piece, back strand over the centerpiece. Then when it comes to adding, so this is a piece you have to add, grab a piece of hair from your scalp, it doesn't matter where, because right now we're just learning, and then go over, then go to the back, grab a chunk of hair, put it over the center, go back to the front, grab a chunk of hair, put it over the center, blah, 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 blah. Now you go all the way down. The thing that you will find, I look so funny with my hair flat against my head. Okay, so the thing that you guys are gonna have to do is just keep practicing. Honestly, if you practice like every single day for a week, 100% you're gonna get the technique because you're practicing. What I did when I was learning is I would just do it almost every single day, and I would keep trying until I got it. Practice makes perfect, duh. Don't feel like discouraged or anything, because the second you get the technique and you get how to hold your hair in place the way that you want it, that is what's going to help you move on to doing tighter braids and more like intricate braids. So after you're done this, the next step for you would be to literally just do a straight French braid back or 2 pigtails. I get the most questions on the braids that I do, like the pigtail braids, so I feel like I want to show you guys that. Grab like a comb like this. You could even just grab like the end of like a brush, anything that's sharp that will create a good line for you. And I like to go right in the center. Tie away one side of your hair just so you don't get confused and it doesn't get pulled into your braid. And now we're going to do the Dutch braid. I like to start off with the tiniest piece of hair, but once again, if we're like elevating to the next step, after you did just your regular braids going down and now you've learned the technique, the next step would be to do this. And the way that I would describe you guys is just to follow along. It's the same exact technique, but the angle that you're taking your braid is different. So instead of taking your braid down this way, your hand positioning needs to be up this way. So when you're trying to do the braids at this point, it's a lot about where your hand is positioned, because that will determine where your braid goes back, comes straight down, goes in the center, you know what I mean? After I'm done parting, I take a small piece of hair right here. So it's about, what is that, like an inch or something? I'm really bad with it. So I take a piece that's this thick, and what I'm going to do is I like to position one hand backwards. So I like to position my hand like this. So one hand will be like this, that's my left hand, and then one hand will be down here. We're going to separate the pieces, and because I'm doing the Dutch braid, so I'm taking the front piece here, putting it under the center piece, and then taking the back piece, putting that under, taking the front piece, putting it under, and then the back piece, putting it under. Now it comes time to add pieces. I hold it like this and I pinch. I just want to take smaller pieces. So I literally just take enough where I can pinch the amount of hair and then add that to my piece. Take it under the centerpiece like so. And at this time, what you want to do is your hands where you're holding the braid should be as close to your scalp as possible. The closer it is to your scalp, the tighter your braid will stay. And then what I do with the centerpiece to keep it away my face, I hold my piece obviously with my thumb and my index. Then I use my middle finger to just hold the centerpiece so it doesn't like run away. I'm going to pinch and add another piece to the back of my head, and then I'm gonna grab the centerpiece and put it under the centerpiece. Then I'm gonna do the same thing with this hair. I'm gonna add it to the front, and then I'm going to put it under the centerpiece, and then add a piece to the back and put it under the centerpiece. So what I find works best is if you're constantly holding your front strand with your thumb and your index, your back strand with your thumb and your index, and then what you're going to do with the middle is just alternate with your hands using your middle fingers. So for example, when it's time to add the front piece under the middle piece, I'm just going to switch it and grab it with my middle finger like this and just do like a little twist, and then grab it with my other hand, if that makes sense. So now, like if I do the back piece, I'm going to grab it with my front and index, do a little twist, take my finger and go through and grab the hair. That way it always stays tight. Now you'll find that once you get the hang of this, like this, I can do this braid in like maybe like 2 minutes, especially if I'm not too worried of it being super like messy and neat. I can just literally finish this within 2 minutes and then do the other side and I'm good to go. Basically, what you're trying to learn is the technique of holding the hair and also the technique of like switching the hair and keeping it tight to your scalp. Now, this tightness won't come right away, I can tell you that much. It took me a while, like before my braids were super loose, but the more you practice, the better it gets, and all you have to do is keep practicing. And I will say that I can braid my hair very nicely, but when it comes to braiding other people's hair, I still have trouble tightening it because on other people's hair, when you're doing their braids, you require a different hand placement, which I obviously don't do braids on other people that much, so my hand placement on other people isn't the best. This is what a Dutch braid looks like on this side. I'm going to do the other side and quickly show you guys how a French braid looks now, to give you guys an example of how the two different braids look. As you guys can see, this is a Dutch braid. This is what I prefer because it looks a lot cleaner. I feel like it gives the braid more of like a center stage because the braid is the only thing sticking out. Then this is how a French braid will look like. It's still nice. It's more flat to your face for sure, but I really like, if I'm doing one, I would prefer this just because I like the way that it sits on my head. I know it seems like I make it look a lot easier, but that's because my hands are so used to doing the braids, and honestly, it didn't take me that long to learn at all. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you guys the way that I do the 4 or 5 strand braid that I've been doing in my vlogs that you guys have been requesting a lot. So there's actually 2 versions. There's one with the center part where I do 4 braids. You know how I center it like this? What I do is I break this in half and then I end up having 4 strands. But then there is also the 5 strand one, which is the one that I want to show you guys. I'm actually going to put oil in my hair as well because I like to put oil in my hair when I do braid because I feel like it helps keep my hair nice and moisturized, and at the same time I'm able to put in my hot oil treatments and still walk around while looking cute instead of looking like I have a greasy head, you know what I mean? Grab yourself 100% pure avocado oil. So what you're going to do is just slather this all in your hair. And what I will say is that it doesn't smell like anything. Like, you know how coconut oil and like castor oil smells and stuff too? This one does not smell like anything. I'm gonna actually take like a decent amount, but I'll show you guys a little bit to start with. Literally comb this in to my hair, and you want to make sure you get it all in your roots and everything. I also like putting oil in my hair before I put braids in it because it actually helps me tame away all my flyaways. Like, you know, if you have broken hair like me, or if you have a bunch of flyaways and your hair is super fine, oil will kind of like make it all slick together and it'll just look like one nice slicked braid, which I love. I hate when there's like flyaways and stuff. It drives me insane. Give yourself a little massage too because it stimulates hair growth. Honestly, you can do this to yourself as much as you want, but it will never feel as good as when your mom gives you a nice oil massage. I want this to be in 5 strands, right? So what we're going to do is start where my like tear duct of my eye is, like right here, and I'm gonna go and just take this all the way back and separate my hairline over here. And now that you have oil in your hair, it actually should be easier for you to separate your hair because it shouldn't be tangly or anything because the oil should separate it. I'm also going to make sure I take this all the way to the back, and I find that the back is the hard part. I always get my mom to straighten the back part for me to just tie your hair away. And now we're going to do the same thing on this side here. Gonna go where my tear duct is, take it all the way up and all the way back. So now what you're left with is a piece like this that runs all the way back and down to the nape of your neck. Now we're going to start braiding. So this will also require a different type of hand placement. This particular one, and this will be the same hand placement if you want to do an entire French braid with your head. Grab your piece of hair. You're going to start off with the front here. So I'm going to just pinch, and I'm starting off with a piece of hair that is this thick. I'm going to separate it into 3 pieces, and now this one I'm going to take a few less pieces. It will take longer than your last hair braid that I showed you, but it just looks so much better. I think it looks so cool. Take the first piece and put it underneath the middle, and then go ahead and grab the other one, put it under the middle. And the way we're going to add pieces is, like I said, you are going to pinch and add the pieces. So you want enough where you can just enough hair where you can just pinch it. And we're going to add this to the center piece. Gonna pinch it. sometimes that will happen to you, and that's totally okay. What I did is I accidentally let go of my piece, and it just unraveled the entire braid. That's fine, we can do it again. Now remember, the closer you hold your braid at the bottom, the tighter your braid will be. Try to keep it as close to your scalp as possible. Now this one will hurt your arms the most because it requires a lot of effort to keep your braid tight and your arms up like this at the same time. So I like to take a lot of breaks. I'll just like hold it and take a break like this. So as you guys can see, it's literally just a pattern, and if you can learn the pattern, then you can learn the braid. All you need to do is just practice, practice, practice. Now with the back, it's a little difficult because you can't really see where your hand is being placed, so you kind of just have to like guess. That's why it's always good to tie your hair away, the hair that you don't want in the braid, because you won't accidentally just take that hair and put it in your braid. You don't have to braid it all the way to the bottom because we are actually going to attach this braid to the others that we are going to create. So just take it down to like the nape of your neck and then tie it. So now, because there's going to be 5 strands, all I have to do with this portion here is just separate it in half. And I'm not going to actually separate it in half like going this way. I'm going to go diagonally going this way. So what I'm going to do is go from here and take it straight down as a diagonal, separate that, as you guys can see, like this, and then continue this diagonal down. There we go. With this piece up here, we went straight back, both arms up and went straight back. This piece, I want it to go on a diagonal. So what does that mean? That means one arm up, one arm down, and take it as a diagonal like this. Once again, with this piece, you don't have to tie it all the way through because we are going to attach it to our other pieces like this one here. I'm gonna do this last piece starting the same exact way and going down, and then I'm gonna do this part here, and I will be right back. Now that this part is done, what you have to do is essentially finish braiding this part here, merge them all together, while also adding half of this piece, because this is the center. We want half of it to go on this side, half of it to go on this side. I'm going to hold all this together, and I'm going to open up the piece back here. I'm going to grab this with my mouth. Or actually no, I'll just put it under my chin. I'm going to separate this piece in half, and I'm going to tie the part that we're not going to use. I'm going to bring that over, and now we're going to combine these little braids all together. So what I like to do is I like to divide this one in half. So I take 2 of the strands and pull it, and then I like to attach the 1 strand of this side to 2 of the strands on this side. I have 3 new pieces of hair that I can just braid all the way to the bottom, and then just tie it out with a rubber band. And you can obviously just leave them as 5 separate strands and just tie them away, but I don't like the way it looks. I feel like because there's 5, I can put 2 here, and then like 1 in the back. It kind of looks like a tail in the back or something. I don't know. I just don't like it. Now we're gonna do the other side, and then I will be right back. Now remember, when you're finished with all these pieces here, we have to add the strands together. So you're gonna grab the 2 strands here and also that half of the centerpiece that we did over on this side and merge them all together. You can see kind of an overview of how my braid is looking. I'm kind of scared to show you guys the back because I know I didn't part the back properly, so excuse the back. But yeah, this is literally how I braid my hair every single time. Trust me, you guys, just practice makes perfect. Start off with just braiding someone's hair and just taking a chunk of it and not worrying about making it look cute, and just worry about the technique of how you're using your hands and how you're like kind of exchanging and adding the hair, and that's what's going to help you a lot. And then another thing you guys have to remember is the hand positioning. Whatever way your hands are going, that's where your braid will be placed. I showed you guys a great example of it with this braid where I took a few strands back this way, a few strands this way, and a few strands down this way. So it's all about hand placement. You guys just gotta like kind of fool around and mess around and see what you like best and what works for you best. And trust me, braiding hair is not as hard as it seems. Even if you have fat fingers, a lot of people say that they have fat hands, and trust me, you can do it. Like, everyone can braid. You just gotta be a little bit just patient with the way that you learn and everything like that. I hope you guys liked the tutorial, and if you learned something, please let me know. If you have any other suggestions on hair tutorials, let me know down below. Thank you so much for watching. I hope everyone has an amazing New Year's. Be safe, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.